Three, four, five, six, seven, eight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kinetic Impressions Movie News. On today's episode, Michael B. Jordan might be directing a Creed 3 movie. Richard Pryor movie coming from the Blackish television creator. Adam Sandler to star in a movie in a Swedish film entitled Spaceman of Bohemia. LeBron James finances a Black Wall Street documentary, and why The Last Man gets a TV series. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Arnie, and this guy, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Andrew, and sorry to interrupt your wonderful intro, Arnie. Sorry about that.
It's all good, man. It's all good, man. Welcome to the news. All right, so first up, let's talk about Michael B. Jordan might be directing a Creed movie. All right, here we go. So I actually read about this last week. This article is from Slashfilm, one of the best movie news websites on the internet. The Rocky franchise, starring Sylvester Stallone, was resurrected with Creed, focusing on a new main character in the form of Michael B. Jordan. Son of Apollo Creed, a longtime friend and boxing opponent of Rocky Balboa. Not only did it rejuvenate the franchise, but it created a new legacy by passing the torch and feeling like something familiar and not familiar, but also fresh. Familiar but fresh. Now Michael B. Jordan possibly directing Creed 3 comes from a Deadline report that was actually talking about the fact that No Time to Die, the most recent James Bond movie, was going to be possibly released on a streaming platform. Within that article, there was kind of a throwaway line saying that Michael B. Jordan might actually direct Creed 3. Now, this speculation was also brought up about a year ago from Creed movie producer Irwin Winkler, who said, quote, in a Men's Health magazine, "I promised Michael B. Jordan that he'd get the chance to direct Creed 3. Last year, in a conversation with our Creed star Michael B. Jordan, I offered him the opportunity to not only star in, but to direct Creed 3. There is no guarantee that he'll take the opportunity, especially since this is also kind of cool, directing and starring in a movie is quite a big responsibility, but the Creed franchise undoubtedly means a lot to him. He is also a very busy person right now, starring in a project right now with Denzel Washington, and which is by a script I think is written by, I forget who it was, but there was another movie. Well, we can talk about that later. Now, this is interesting, and Drew, I wanted to ask, like, the way I feel about Michael B. Jordan is he's an incredible talent, supremely guy. He got really hot real quick too. He's only come out maybe in like last 4 or 5 years. His star is really starting to shine. I like his talent. And I think that actors being able to direct movies is a real thing. And I think it's because top to bottom, actors are the only people in the industry that actually like have to deal with every single department, right? So I kind of think that's why actors tend to have a really good line into directing movies, because they have always like talked to every department and been a part of every single decision, just because they're in the scene and stuff. What do you think, Drew? Do you think Michael B. Jordan has the chops to direct the next Creed movie?
Arnie, I'm glad you asked me. And I'm excited about it. I think I don't know if anybody's gonna do it. I think it's gonna be him. What I love is that, like, on top of like passing the torch with the series, that's kind of like the way it was passing the torch of like the way Rocky did it too, man. I think Rocky directed most of his films, man. And
yeah.
And like what I loved about the Creed series is that it makes up, Rocky. I want to call him Rocky, but in my heart he's Rocky. But I love the Rocky series. I rewatched them recently, the last couple of years, and then I got to visit I got to visit the art museum in Philly and do the steps and everything.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I really got into him, but like he really hated where he left the series off in like 4 or 5. Sorry, I'm going to go into a brief history of.
Good.
He hated where he left that series off. So he made Rocky Balboa, and without Rocky Balboa, which was his reprise, I'm going to take this into my own hands, finance this, and like make the Rocky series end right. And without Rocky Balboa, I don't think we'd have Creed. And Creed is
Yeah.
an excellent movie. And it was really excellent because we got to see Ryan Coogler attempt Creed.
Hmm.
I think Michael B. Jordan has surrounded himself with all the right people to do this transition. He was a really big fan of Ryan Coogler, so I think he was in Fruitville Station.
Yep. Yep.
So
His first big, both of their first big movies.
Exactly. Both of them together.
Yes.
And then they went on to do Creed. And then right after, I think they both did Black Panther and Creed 2, or the Black Panther and Michael B. Jordan went on to do Creed 2 while Ryan Coogler did not.
Well, he was still a producer on that. He was still, I believe he was an executive producer on it, right?
And Michael B. Jordan was producer on both of them as well, and Sylvester Stallone. So I think he's kind of gotten on the right train. But I love Michael B. Jordan, man. He's been on HBO. He's been on HBO since 1999.
Whoa. What do you do?
He on The Sopranos.
Okay.
If anybody's a fan of The Wire, he was one of the coolest kids on The Wire. Spoiler alert: everyone's upset when he dies. But I think, if anyone's gonna do it, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see him do it. And I think Michael B. Jordan's gonna be good. He is a busy man, though, man. We were just talking about rumors that he might come back in the next Black Panther as coming back to life or so. I don't know.
They don't. Yeah, the whole Black Panther thing, because of the untimely passing of Chadwick Boseman, is a little up in the air right now. No one really knows what's happening with that movie. The fans, everyone wants his little sister to take over, which is what happens in the comic books as well. But I mean, him coming back makes sense. It makes financial sense, right?
Yeah.
And it makes logistical sense, because obviously he was in the last movie. He was working with those people. Makes sense. I like his chops as an actor. I think he brings something to I think his craft is really malleable, and I like that he always plays characters that you wouldn't think him as a person he would be, right? He doesn't see but he always plays these, and he has this presence about him that is really nice, and it comes up to the surface, but then he can also be sinister and a really good villain, right? He just has a really good range, right? He was
great. I mean, Black Panther was the first time I saw him really as that menacing villain, and I thought he did a fantastic fucking job about it. It was great.
Yeah. It's interesting how he's positioning himself in his career, because it looks like he was a producer on both Creed movies and has followed Ryan Coogler through his career as well. So it looks like he actually has been positioning himself through the roles and relationships that he's been keeping through his entire tenure in the industry to kind of move himself into this, right?
Yep.
To be a director, which makes a lot of sense for actors. Like I said earlier, I think the reason actors I mean, not I don't know if it's across the board thing, but it seems to be that actors do make pretty good directors, and I think a lot of it is because they are the people that every department's talking to. They're involved in almost every decision because every decision has to bounce off of them literally, right? So I want him to direct something small first. I think he should not do his first directorial debut a big-ass budget movie like this. Now, obviously, it all depends on the script. It all depends on how much, directing schnapps he actually does have. Maybe he's done some plays. I don't know any of that. I think he should do the thing where he goes and directs a small movie first. I just don't think a first-time director should do a big-budget movie. I could be wrong and he could knock it out of the park at the first time, but I just think that if it was me, I would try to go do something smaller first. I think that would help.
Yeah, I see your point. I definitely see your point, but I feel like when you put a lot of money into that movie and you've surrounded yourself with talent, maybe Maybe he'll get lucky.
Yeah.
He is doing that. He is doing another Coogler movie that was supposed to be released, I think, this year, but got pushed back.
I think that's with Denzel, right?
Oh, is that the one that you were talking
I
about
think
with
so.
Denzel?
I think he's doing a movie with Denzel, Ryan Coogler. I think. I didn't have time to look it up here, but I think that's what's happening. I think they were literally filming right when COVID happened.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's enough on this subject, right? Like, I just want to see a Creed 3. You know, those are good movies. I want to see another one. That was great. All right. So next up, this one is coming out of, I believe it is Deadline. Deadline, probably one of the most highly regarded movie news websites out there. The title of this article is Richard Pryor, Richard Pryor movie auction won by MGM by connected with blackish creator to make his directorial debut. I'm going to read a little bit of the article here. MGM won a heated film rights auction and will partner with blackish creator Kanye Barris for a movie on the iconic comedian Richard Pryor. Now, Barris will make his directorial debut on the film, and he will write it as well. Now, the producers are Barris and his Ink Society, which I guess is his his producing arm, right, or his company, and Jennifer Lee Pryor, which is the widow of Richard Pryor. Now, I have seen some of Blackish. It's really good. It's funny. It's super topical and plays way different in today's society than it did when it first premiered. I challenge you to watch the first couple episodes of Blackish. Hits a lot harder than it did a few months ago. With that said, and I think that show does strike with some really good heart and some really good life lessons type stuff, and it really, and I think that there's enough, I guess, nuance in the show as well that I think it would be good in this guy's hands. I do kind of question that maybe it'll be too slapsticky, because I guess in my mind I would like my Richard Pryor biopic movie to be, I want it to be hard R, obviously, and I want it to dive deep into some of his some of his really deep dark past, man. I mean, the guy, he talks about it on stage, and there's some crazy stories. Along with this article, it's funny. They talk about the previous attempt to make a Richard Pryor movie, and there was a Richard Pryor movie in the works, right? That had Mike Epps as Pryor, and Oprah Winfrey playing Pryor's grandmother who raised him at a brothel, and Eddie Murphy playing his father. Now that's just like a foregone thing. That was like in an Elseworlds. That's what could have happened. I don't know who I want to play Richard Pryor, but I do want my Richard Pryor movie to be just, a hard R, gritty, hilarious as hell, but fucking real. You know what I mean? What kind of movie, sir, do you want to see out of a Richard Pryor movie?
Yeah, man. I'm feeling exactly what you're saying. I really wanted something. In our day and age, I really wanted something from like Dave Chappelle to be like a producer on it, just because after watching 846, I don't know if you watched his special, his like quarantine special that he did.
Oh yeah. It wasn't really a special. It wasn't really stand up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I call it a special because it was not really a stand up. I can't call it a stand up.
Yeah, no, it really was a stand up.
Yeah. So like, but like after watching that and kind of seeing like what I love about Dave Chappelle and watching his stand up Stick and Stones that came out last year, what was great about it is like Dave Chappelle's like what we need in the world to be like. He's gonna make fun of the stuff that's now and the stuff that people are like, can we really even make fun of that yet?
Yeah.
And he's gonna slap you in the face with it, but he's gonna tell you what's real.
Yeah.
And when I like that sentence just means a lot to me, because that's how I feel in the day and age of Richard Pryor. That's what he meant to a lot of people.
Yeah.
He was, I think we needed somebody hard, like hard R, like really funny, no shits. It's like it has to be like the kind of the laughter that you get with like Cat Williams and
Oh,
and
Cat
those.
Williams, dude, when he is on, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so uh, I I I think I don't know, like, speaking from like our last story, like at least Kenya Barris has a little bit of directing experience. He's done a couple episodes of Blackish. He's wrote the screenplay for the Shaft movie with Sam Jackson. So I think there is a little bit more experience there. I didn't watch the Shaft movie, but like the
Did he
new
direct Chef?
no, somebody else directed it. He just wrote the screenplay,
Okay. Okay.
I believe. But it was the one with like Usher in it and
Yeah.
Jesse T. Usher and Samuel L. Jackson and stuff like that, um, and Regina Hall, like all those people. But like I didn't watch it, but like at least he has some experience in that front. So when he goes into this, hopefully he'll do it some sort of justice. But yeah, it is a different type of medium, and it's just so funny that we talk about like Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan are doing that exact same thing. That they're doing this, they're pushing this movement of good, like I don't know how to say it politically correct, but it's good black cinema. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that something that like it used to be like, okay, cool, we're gonna put out like a Tyler Perry movie or an Eddie Murphy movie. That's what we've had for decades, and like there wasn't anybody who said like, no, we're gonna come out and produce some serious content. And that's what this movement, like that's what a lot of these people are doing now, and I love it. And I'm always excited to get more stuff. And like just these two stories alone, you can get half of that stuff from
Yeah.
these two kind of parties that we've been talking about. Because like we were just talking about Just Mercy, we were talking about like Fruitville Station. Like these movies just keep going on and on that are really getting produced well. And so hopefully I'd like to see a really good Richard Pryor movie come out of it. I'm glad the family's connected to it, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. I just what do you think about Richard Pryor's pedigree? Do you think he's the best comedian ever? Because a lot of people say he is. I personally, I'm going to say this, probably not popular, and this is just me. I think his comedy is fucking boundless, right? It's funny as hell. I don't put him as the greatest comedian ever, though. Personally, I think the greatest comedian ever was and will always be my man George Carlin. George Carlin.
Oh.
George Carlin, man. Love me some George Carlin. Who do you think's the best comedian ever, Drew?
I've never had an opinion on this.
Uh-huh.
So like I don't know. I really do put. It's just funny that we like I put. Man, that's just a tough question. I really, in the age that I grew up, Chris Rock is always there for me.
Yeah.
I know that's like going a little very different direction, but like I gotta put them in my top 5, all of them. George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle, and Chris Rock are all in my top 5 of being, I think, the best comedians that we've witnessed. And I'm glad to be at least 2 of those to be in my lifetime.
For sure, dude. Yeah. I say George Carlin because of the breadth of his work. I don't think any comedian has ever made as much content as George Carlin. Granted, George Carlin had a whole lot of tax bills to pay off in the later of his life, so he had to keep working. Yeah. I don't think. Also, he was relevant in every generation that he worked in. His comedy literally changed the FCC laws to not be able to air curse words on national broadcasts radio. Yeah, that's how old he is. He goes back far. His case is that case with George Carlin's comedy is cited in the FCC ruling. He was always on the edge. Every generation, he was always like Fringe. He was always that like dark comedy thing. But yeah, the breadth of his work. I don't believe any comedian has ever worked as hard as George Carlin. He made a new special every single year. It was always a new hour. He was making comedy until the day he died, and he was always relevant. Never not relevant in any generation that he was in. He was always on the edge. He's just like my top. Just thought I'd bring that in there for a second. All right, next news story. This one is kind of a fun little story. So this one's about Adam Sandler, man. So this is like I've never heard of this book or this movie or anything, but this is from This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Adam Sandler to star in the adaptation of a Czech sci-fi novel, Spaceman of Bohemia. Bohemia, I think that's how I said the word. The actor is taking one of his offbeat tones, coming aboard to star in an untitled adaptation of Spaceman of Bohemia, a sci-fi novel. A Czech sci-fi novel. Netflix has picked up the project that would be directed by Joan Rink, the helmer behind HBO's acclaimed Chernobyl miniseries.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It will be Channing Tatum is also signed on to be in this. It will also be produced by Tom Hiddleston as well. The 2017 book centers around a Czech astronaut that is sent on a mission to investigate a mysterious cloud of space dust near Venus. While on the 8-month mission, he is forced to face loneliness while also seeing his marriage fall apart. Things take a turn when he befriends a giant talking alien spider who may or may not be a manifestation of his mental breakdown. So, this movie sounds wild, crazy, and I'm all up for it. And I just love that Adam Sandler does all these crazy projects. Like, Jude, is there any other actor out there right now that is just doing the range of work that Adam Sandler is right now? It's crazy, right?
But very few that have had like the type of career that he's had, especially with Uncut Gems coming out most recently, and just the phenomenal performance that he did in that.
Fantastic movie. Not a regular Adam Sandler movie whatsoever.
Not at all.
Plus, he's got the Netflix deal where he's doing all these slapstick comedies.
Yeah, I like that. He has that new like Halloween show, right? Like
Yeah, I think it's actually said in this article. It's called. I think it's a TV. It's a movie. It's a movie. It's called Hoobie Halloween. Hoobie Halloween. Yeah. And he also did one of the last movies he did that with another was part of the Netflix deal, which is not part of his regular slapsticky stuff. Was a Day of, I believe it is called. It's the wedding movie with him and Chris Rock. That was a fantastic film.
Sorry, I got cut out a little bit. What did you say?
It was a movie called, I believe it's called Day of, and it was right, and it was with Chris Rock, and they were playing fathers of the brides, trying to put a wedding on. It was I think one of his better comedies he's made in a while, where it was it was slapsticky, but it was really heartfelt, right? I just like the fact that Adam Sandler definitely has carved out a position in this industry to be able to do such different work, and I'm super excited to see this movie. It just sounds all kinds of fun. I mean, it's sci-fi. I also love the fact that it's international, because when you're adapting international things, there are always some nuances that you never really pick up, never really get in America. So it's going to be nuancy. It's going to be really like sci-fi comedy. I appreciate the acting chops that Sandler has as well. He definitely is a very good actor. He rarely gets acclaim for it. I think the last time he got some acclaim was for Spanglish. He was nominated, I believe, for an Oscar, but he didn't win. Right? So I bring this up to just be like, can we just appreciate the breadth of the work that Adam Sandler has put out there, man?
No, you're right. I mean, and it goes from he made 50 First Dates and Spanglish the same year. And,
wow.
And those are two of the just opposite, very different genres, yes. But they're two very memorable movies. And he's just done consistent, consistent work since way before then. I mean, we're not even going pre 2000 days of like, you know, Little Nicky, Big Daddy, Waterboy, Anger Management. Those movies were
Yeah.
iconic,
Yeah. Yeah.
iconic.
Dude.
And then I'm not even going that far back to even say like Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like every decade he's produced a couple of great films. And he's also like on top of that, he voices like Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah. Also, very successful franchise.
Yeah, he's done every one of those movies.
Yeah.
He's Dracula. So he's done, yeah, he's done something every decade that I can think of now. He's like a little quiet. I mean, by quiet I mean like he still put out like, you know, over a dozen movies.
Yeah. He has a producer.
Between 2010 and 20, you know, in between 2010 and 2018. But then after that, like, he's back, man. He's back, and he's really telling everybody he never left. And I got to mention The Wedding Singer, because I mentioned every one of his great movies.
Yeah.
Singer, but I'm excited about Adam Sandler. I hope it's that kind of like Moon, Sam Rockwell Moon kind of type thing, where it's a lot by yourself, and you really get to experience the actor who's playing that part.
For sure.
I don't know if you like that movie, but like, man, Moon was one of my favorites. To see Sam Rockwell, someone who
weren't used definitely like that movie.
Yeah, like someone you weren't used to seeing shine in the star role, to finally get that lead role. And I loved Sam Rockwell since that movie he did. I've loved Sam Rockwell all the time, but the movie he did with Nicolas Cage, the heist movie, it's Matchstick Men. It was incredible. One of my favorites. So, yeah, I'm excited about this Adam Sandler thing, and this sounds really interesting with the whole Czech. And what's Channing Tatum gonna do in this? I'm confused, but
he's on there as to star in it with it. He's connected to it, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Channing Tatum, Tom Hiddleston, they're producing this. I don't know if they're going to be in it or not. Yeah, they're producers on it. But the guy who did the Chernobyl miniseries is directing it. That's crazy. Sorry. He's writing it. He's writing it.
Johan Rake, I think he's Swedish, right?
Yes.
Or is about?
Yes, Johan. Yes, Johan.
That guy did some. That guy's done some great movies. He's done or some great TV, because he's done Chernobyl. He did what was that? He did some Breaking Bad episodes. He directed some Breaking Bad and The Walking Dead. So like, he's kind of everywhere.
Yeah, I'm excited for this project. I'm excited for Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler is okay by me. I don't know why there's hate for him. There's some hate out there for him. It's weird.
There's hate. There should not be hate.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I don't know. Adam Sandler's great. Kinetic Impressions. We're cool with Adam Sandler. Let's move on to the next story. This one is going to be from The Hollywood Reporter as well. This one is about LeBron James. Well, not quite. The article reads, LeBron James and CNN Films partner on a Black Wall Street documentary. All right, so LeBron James' company, Spring Hill Company, and CNN Films have partnered to produce Dreamland, The Rise and Fall of Black Wall Street, a documentary about the history of Black Wall Street ahead of the 1921 Tulsa Massacre. Quote, the documentary about the wealth section of Oklahoma City known as Black Wall Street will lead up to the violent events of the 1921 that resulted in the murder of hundreds of the city's African-American residents. The Dreamland documentary will use a mix of archival media, contemporary interviews, and oral letters and diary entries. The producers added they will use footage of a near-century search for physical evidence of the violent murder of African-Americans. So, obviously a heavy subject. And obviously it's something that is in dire need of exploration. It is, so the first time that I heard about Black Wall Street was literally 3 or maybe 4 years ago on an infograph video on Facebook. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It was just a random scroll one day, and I was like, "What is this Black Wall Street thing?" That was like, and it's incredible to me that no one really knew about this, and we were never really taught about this in school. So like, it's about time that people really start knowing about this piece of American history. I'm glad that it's happening. I'm glad. I like that LeBron's attached to it. He has actually kind of amassed himself as kind of a powerhouse producer in Hollywood. He's done some game shows and some other TV series that are actually done pretty well. It's probably why he went to the Lakers also, so they can move to LA, so he could kind of produce. So he could kind of.
It really was. It was one of the big reasons, and congratulations to him as well for winning a basketball championship recently.
We had the World Series and the basketball finals in in the span of 3 weeks. This year is crazy, man. So what do you think, Drew, man? You think it's about time for them to make a movie about this? Like, right? Like, I'd imagine, like, at some point, somebody was going to make this, and I'm glad that they're doing it now, but, like, it's staggering that it took so long, right?
Yeah, what's the, man, I just went totally blank. You got to help me out with this before I go crazy. What's the HBO series that just came out? Yeah, Watchmen. Thank you. Because they talk about Tulsa. There's history about Tulsa, and it kind of all starts with Black Wall Street.
It literally starts with like that TV show literally starts with the massacre.
It put it on the map for me, and I was just like you. I hadn't heard about it until about 3 or 4 years ago, and then when Watchmen came out, that's when I really learned that, like, man, that's really close to home. Like, you know, like, especially for us who live in DFW. Arnie's Dallas, I'm Fort Worth. And we were going to call ourselves Twin City Talk, but it turned out to be really bad. Bad idea. Bad idea's gone wrong. But anyway, like, you know, to be right up the street in Tulsa in Oklahoma, it kind of hits you just like when the World Trade Center got hit, the Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar thing, but to know that they really just buried that, literally in our history is buried. They buried that history is such a shame, because it's such good history, and I think it's a story that needs to be told. And I'm so glad. I'm going to go back to a lighter note. Did I answer your question? What was your question?
I think I just asked, like, do you think it's about time they made this movie? You know, like they actually started talking about this.
I want to make sure that I didn't get too off track thinking about Watchmen and stuff like that, but I'm really excited. LeBron James is, people can hate on him for being, you know, whatever he wants, you know, for being the sports, like, icon that we don't want him to be. I don't know what all the hate is on sports wise with him, but as a person, he's great, man. He's done so much for communities around the nation. Cleveland, because, you know, he's from Cleveland, and even in Miami, he was doing a lot of things for Liberty City, which is a very poor area of Miami. He's been doing stuff like this for years now, and even his IMDb even says it. He's been working on stuff like this for years. He's doing the Space Jam. Like, that was the real quarantine news, was like, what's gonna come of Space Jam? Because I was so excited about Space Jam.
I know some things about Space Jam that are gonna blow your fucking mind. There's some things about Space Jam that are gonna blow your mind.
You should release this news at the end of this, after our one-off.
Well, you know what? We'll talk about it next time we do news. We'll talk about it next time we do, because it deserves a whole segment.
Great.
There's some stuff about Space Jam too. That's pretty dope.
Because I've been really excited about it. You know, like, I think it needed to come back. It's one of those films that is a classic, but can be repeated and redone after a couple decades.
Yeah, done better, you know. Yeah.
We're not replacing it. It's not like, you know, it's not like we're gonna do some kind of Ghostbusters run over it. You know, like
Yeah.
like. But I'm really excited. I do have to tell you, have you watched LeBron in the movie with Amy? Oh my God, it has
You
two
talking about
people
Amy
from
Schumer? Talking about Amy Schumer?
Amy Schumer, and it's a Judd Apatow movie. Have you
Yeah,
ever seen that movie?
I
Trainwreck.
have. It's been so long, I forgot his part in it, but I feel like he was just being crazy.
Everybody who's listening, if anyone's listening, including you, Arnie, you have to go just YouTube search LeBron James Trainwreck and watch some of those comedic reactions of LeBron being LeBron and like him like playing basketball. Like Judd Apatow is getting a kick just talking about LeBron in that movie. He's like, yeah, like we're gonna have LeBron play his best friend who's like a normal person, but like they're gonna play basketball together at the gym. And LeBron, like Bill Hader's gonna be around like shooting the ball, but like I need LeBron to just like block the shit out of that ball. Like, he's not taking it at all. Like, and so there is some really funny clips, and I'm just reminded that like show business is something that LeBron, if he wanted to, LeBron could take over.
Yeah.
And it just shows you from his documentary experience to him producing this movie that we're talking about that I'm so happy he's doing, from Trainwreck to Space Jam. This guy will take over when he's done with basketball.
Yeah.
And we will have to fear him.
If there's a Hollywood left.
He will make sure there's a Hollywood left because he will be stacking up money.
Yeah, we'll start pouring it on there. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad this story's being told. It's fucking like this revisionist history of America. It's time for it to be rewritten. It's time for us to start teaching our kids exactly what's going on in this country. I'm happy this is happening. It's a story that needs to be told. I'm glad that somebody like him is actually partnering up with people to do it, right? Because it means it's going to be at least be told through the lens of somebody who at least lives in that world, right?
Weird that it's CNN Films. I will say that.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right, last story I want to talk about. This is a little bit fringy, and it isn't actually about movies, but it's just a crazy concept, and I wanted to talk about it. All right, so from /Filmcast, Why the Last Man TV series begins filming. Now, those of you who don't know anything about Why the Last Man, which is probably most of you, Why the Last Man is a comic book series that was created by Brian K. Vaughan. Brian K. Vaughan is probably the preeminent comic book writer right now. The story centers around a man who, after proposing to his girlfriend, who is currently across the planet, goes on a search mission to find her. But after a worldwide pandemic or whatever incident happened that kills every single living creature with a Y chromosome. So all men on the planet die, including male animals. And the only men on the planet who don't die is Y and his monkey. Now, I know that concept sounds kind of crazy, but it's kind of like one of the best comic books I have ever read in my entire life. And I was actually on board with this comic book since the day one. I literally own Why the Last Man #1. It's one of many comic books that I still have.
Did you watch the short that he did in the 2010s or whatever it was?
Probably not.
No, I'm just wondering because like I didn't know if I had researched because I didn't know. But keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah. Anyway, it is a fantastic story that I believe has a lot of social connotation to today's story, right? It's about society. It's about power. It's about people. It's literally like everything. It's a fantastic story. If you have time, just a rec for you guys. Check out Why the Last Man. It's currently in graphic novel form. You can get like the big omnibus books, and you can read like 10 comic books at once. You can get it at your local library. Like I actually saw it there too. But what do you think about this concept, Drew? It's crazy, right?
it's a crazy concept. I had to go look up this guy because I didn't know, but like he's the main reason why the first season of Lost was good. I'm just gonna put that
Brian
out
K.
there.
Vaughan, yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say that like he left he left when the boat was starting to sink, which was like immediately after the first season. I mean, I love the whole series of Lost, but you know, like a fan can be disappointed. Uh, and
Sure.
I'm excited about Why the Last Man. Just after what you told me, I think this is going to be an interesting series for him. So this sounds really good. Sounds like he's getting some money doing the Runaways as well, like being a producer for the Runaways. So I'm excited to see this passion project, which I imagine it will be for him, and seeing how it grows into seeing this guy more in mainstream media.
For sure. And honestly, like Brian K. Vaughan, just look up his work. He's done some fantastic comic book stuff. All right, man. I think that's it for the day. We got the movie news out of the way. Thanks a lot for watching, listening, guys. My name is Arnie Diaz. You can catch me on arniediaz.com. I also have a podcast called The Arnie Diaz Show, available on all podcasting platforms known to humanity. Drew, anything to say to the people?
No, man, check us out on anything you podcast on, the Arnie Diaz Show or Kinetic Impressions. It's all good.
Kinetic Impressions available on also all podcasting platforms known to man. Thank you very much for listening, watching, and just being with us. Watch a fucking movie. Have a great weekend. Vote vote hard. Vote.